Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Williams and I'm going to share with you my capstone project, which is titled Protecting Seattle's Urban Canopy, Policy Revision and Education. Okay, for some background, I'll start by talking about what's happening and why it matters. So, created in 2007, Seattle has a 30% canopy goal by 2037. Despite this, Seattle has seen a 0.5% overall decrease in canopy cover from 2016 to 2021. In 2016, it was 28.6%. In 2021, it was 28.1%, sorry. Seattle sees a loss on both public and private lands, and this can be attributed to Seattle's boom in population, which leads to development of housing as well as other structures. There's an overall lack of education surrounding the importance trees hold, especially within urban settings. On private land, during development, a collective action problem is created as many people removed a couple trees on their property, thinking it won't do any harm. The Seattle Municipal Tree Code, or SMC 2511, aims to promote the urban forest and protect trees. However, due to lobbying by the Master Builders Association, as well as other judicial processes, it can be difficult to pass legislation that effectively protects the urban forest. In July of 2023, there was an update to the code, which incorporated like a tier system and expanded the protection area for a tree, which may seem like it's making progress in protecting trees, but when you increase the protection land and you're trying to build a home, if it goes within the land or protection area, you can remove the tree. So it actually made it easier for trees to remove on like development sites. So you may be asking why this matters. And the answer to this is that everyone benefits from the presence of trees. They have ecosystem services such as reducing the urban heat island effect, carbon sequestration, stormwater runoff absorption, air and water filtration, among others. Trees also provide economic benefits as they save electricity and increase property value. And they do this because trees act as insulation. So during the winter, it keeps homes a little more warm, and during the summer, it cools them down a little bit. Trees also promote biodiversity and reduce barriers to physical and mental prosperity. But not all areas within Seattle have equal canopy cover, with higher income and white people reaping more of the benefits that trees provide. Especially during climate change, there's a need to promote the growth of the urban canopy more equitably. So this brings me to my research question, which is, how can Seattle better protect its urban canopy through the revision of policy? And these are images of Seattle tree removal that were on the previous slide. So this was in South Seattle. This one, I'm not sure where it is, but it's just like individual properties just removing trees due to maybe perceived threat of the line or aesthetic reasons. So for my research, I had the opportunity to intern with Cascadia Climate Action, which is a nonprofit organization. And during my internship, I learned a lot about the importance of urban forests and SMC 2511. I began by researching why trees are so vital. Then I dove into the code document and understood the language. From there, I looked at comparable cities to Seattle with a more thriving canopy, notably Portland, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. I also looked at Seattle's system for measurement and enforcement of the code, along with major reasons for removal. I also interviewed 4 individuals who have a background working with Seattle's urban forest, and an architect who emphasizes the importance of tree preservation. For my research, I created a policy memo that included an evaluation of the code as well as recommendations for improvement. I also tabled at a community outreach event, which you can see here, where I talked to different individuals about CCA's mission. And then for the results of my research, I found that at the current rate, Seattle is not on track to meet its 30% canopy goal by 2037. And to get the city back on track, there's an urgent need for the revision of SMC 2511, as well as more education. I found that many people are uneducated about the importance of urban trees and feel like if they remove just one or two, it won't make an impact. But if everyone has that mindset, then all the trees begin to add up. With the average US city being made up of 40% residential land, trees on private properties impact the structure of community urban forests very heavily. Both BIPOC and low-income communities face higher rates of deforestation than more wealthy and majority white neighborhoods. And after evaluating the effectiveness of SMC 2511, I found that the code is written to be not quantifiable. So this means that there's a lack of metrics that would hold the city accountable if they fail to reach their goals. And I'll talk a little more about these in the recommendations section. But during my interviews, I talked with a past chair of Seattle's Urban Forestry Commission who noted that SMC 2511, the code doesn't have goals, it has intent. So with a lack of metrics, it's kind of hard to reach goals if it's more ambiguous. And then I also found that during these years of Seattle's canopy measurement, they employed different methods for quantifying the canopy, with the exception of 2016 and 2021, where during these years they measured the canopy from 8 feet, which would allow smaller organisms, which aren't trees, to be counted in the measurement. Because of this, it's important to reconstruct parts of the code that allow for the city to not be held accountable. Creating more efficient housing structures would also help to protect the canopy, as many developers favor single units on a lot because they make more money, which causes more tree removal. The city should regulate the replacement of trees better because when larger trees are removed, a smaller tree in its place will not have the same benefits that the larger one had. I also found the major reasons for tree removal to be development, aesthetics, perceived threat, snags, and illness. So as populations increase, there's more development. If people prefer different landscaping, they may remove a tree or replace it with an ornamental one. There's sometimes perceived threat, so they fear danger or liability. Snags are dead trees, which are a liability. And then illness, which is becoming more common during climate change as trees aren't able to adapt to the changing climate. And then here is the map that was on this page. So this one shows the 2021 canopy cover percentage in Seattle. So you can see down here it says environmental justice priority areas, and you can see the lighter shades of green and yellow are areas with lower canopy, which are in higher rates of environmental justice priority areas. And then this is the one on the right. Oh, sorry. I think I said right for the earlier one, but the one on the left. The one on the right, which is relative percent canopy change. This is from 2016 to 2021. It shows the percent change in canopy cover. So the darker purple in the environmental justice priority areas is where there's higher rates of deforestation than in more wealthy areas like over here. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to the policy recommendations that I think would benefit Seattle's urban canopy. First, code language needs revision, which is essential to bettering the code, which this includes developing and monitoring metrics, reducing the diameter for tree requirements so that it's more difficult for developers to remove, prioritizing environmental justice areas, helps to bridge the gap of benefits trees provide to all neighborhoods. And then second, permit issue reform is extremely important, as today pretty much everyone that applies for a permit will receive one. And this can be done through the development of workshops for those issuing, as well as those seeking permit or removal permits. Next, combining departments and shifting oversight would allow for more efficient enforcement of the code, as there's kind of different departments that oversee the urban canopy, and maybe creating an environment one would help emphasize the um, pre preservation of trees, sorry. And this can also make it easier to have consistent methods for canopy measurement. And then lastly, education is vital in reducing tree removal. So this can be done through community outreach events, like my host organization, CCA, does. Some of the implications for policy revision are creating more resilient communities, restoring ecosystems. There are physical and mental health benefits, climate change resilience, both in mitigating the effects as well as adapting to them. There are economic effect or benefits. And then there are some of the ecosystem services, which I talked about a little bit earlier, such as reducing the urban heat island effect, carbon sequestration, stormwater runoff absorption, air and water filtration. And yeah. So this is just the images from the other slide, but you can see that this city or neighborhood is set up to build more up than they do wide, so it leaves more land to have trees. And then this one just shows the importance that trees hold, like, as a producer. And then I would like to thank my site supervisor, Mary Manis, my faculty advisor, Kathleen Wolf, the individuals I interviewed, as well as my host organization, Cascadia Climate Action. And thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate you listening to my presentation. Okay, bye.